Let's see how polylines in AutoCAD works. If you want to activate the polyline command, all you need to do is you need to go to the draw layout. Under the draw layout, we have what we call polyline. You click on polyline, or you can use shortcut for polyline, which is PL. So what you need to do, you need to type PL on your keyboard. This is going to bring out the option plan, which stands for polyline. So you click on this. This is going to activate the polyline command. Now it is asking us to specify the start point. So click on the start point. Then now we click on the second point. As you can see, auto mode is currently on. If you don't want this to be plainly 90 degree or 0 degree, you turn off the auto mode. So now we can draw polyline of any angle. So something like this, something like this. So when you are done with the polyline, you press escape on your keyboard. Now take a look at this. If you click on this line, click on this. As you can see, they are all acting as one. They are acting as a single unit. This is the difference between polyline and the line option. When you click the line option, take a look at this. You draw something like this, something like this, something like this, escape. Now click on this line. As you can see, these are not acting as a single unit. They are not acting as a single unit. They are acting as individual separate line. But for the polyline, when you are using polyline command, the line are going to be acting as a single unit. So this is the difference between the polyline and the line options. Take a look at this polyline. We have different grips. As you can see, we have different groups. Now take your cursor, move it close to one of these groups. So let's say we move it close to this group, for example. As you can see, we have three options here. We have stretch, add vertex, then convert to arc. So you can stretch this line. You can stretch this line by taking your cursor, moving it to the grip, then click on stretch. So if you click on stretch, this is how it is going to look like. Now it is asking you to specify the distance. So let's say we want to stretch this 3 inches. Click, type 3, enter. So this is how it will look like. So if you want to go back to the previous polyline, you just need to press Ctrl Z. This will go back to the previous polyline. Okay. So click on this. Now let's take a look at the second option, which is add vertex. So if you click on add vertex, as you can see, this is going to stretch just this part. So we are going to have vertex on just this line. So let's say we want the distance to be, let's say 3 inches, for example, enter. So this is how it will look like. So if you click on this, so if you take your cursor, move it to this particular grip. If you want to take it back to the previous polyline, you click on remove vertex. So it is going to take it back to the original polyline. Then the last option we have here is convert to arc. So you can convert this line to arc by taking your cursor, move it to the grip, then click on convert to arc. So if you convert this to arc, this is how it will look like. So you can put your cursor to this grip and take it back to the original polyline by clicking on convert to line. So it will take it back to the previous polyline. Now let's take a look at other things we can do with a polyline option. So click on the polyline. So specify first point. Now if you take a look at the down part here, if you take a look at this box over here, we have different options. We have arc, half length, undo, and width. Let's take a look at the arc option. If you click this arc option, you are going to convert the line to arc. So you can draw different arc of your choice. So let's click the arc option. So if we click the arc option, now we can draw something like this. Something like this, something like this, and like this. Press escape. So as you can see, if you convert the line to arc, you can do something like this. So let's take a look at the other options. So click on the first point. Now we have half width, length, we have undo width. Let's take a look at the width option first. So take a look at the click on the width option. Now for the width option, this is where you will need to specify the starting point width and the ending point width. So let's say the starting point width is 0 inches. So you type 0 over here, enter. The ending point width, let's say this is 3 inches. So you type 3, then enter. So as you can see, this is how it is going to look like. Now it is asking us to specify the length of this, the length of this arrow. As you can see, this is an arrow shape. So let's say we want this to be 5 inches, for example, enter. Then press escape. So this is how the polyline will look like. The starting width is 0 and the ending width is 3 inches. Let's see what else we can do. Click on polyline, specify first point. Now as you can see, we're having the width to be 3 inches. Now if you want to convert the width of this polyline back to the original width, back to the original polyline, what you need to do is come over here, click on this width option, click on width option, then the first point is going to be 0, second point is also going to be 0, enter. As you can see, now we have the original width of the polyline. So now let's click on the polyline again, specify first point. So let's take a look at the half width. For the half width is almost similar to the width option. Click on the half width. So for the half width, so let's say the starting point width is, let's say 2 inches, for example. You click enter. Then the ending point width, let's say this is 4 inches. You click enter. Okay, so this is how it will look like. Now you just need to specify the length. So let's say the length is 10 inches. Click enter. So escape. So this is how it will look like. Then click on the polyline. Let's take this back to the original polyline width. So you just come over here, type, click on width, then 0, enter, 0, enter. Okay. We have length. So basically, you just need to specify the length of this polyline. So if you click on length, so it's going to ask you what is the length of the polyline. So let's say this is 10 inches, for example. Type 10, click enter, then escape. So this is the polyline. Okay, let's see polyline. Let's try to draw a triangle. So let's say specify the first point. Now let's turn the auto mode on. Then click on these points. Click on the second point. Now this is what you need to understand. First of all, deactivate the auto mode. Now if you want to close this triangle, you can either just go to the endpoint and click on the endpoint. This is going to close the triangle. Or what you can do is, you see this box over here, there are different options. As you can see, we have the close option here. If you click on this close option, this is automatically going to close the triangle, instead of you to manually come over here and click the endpoint. You can just come to this option here, click on close. This is automatically going to close the triangle. So take a look at this, click on close. As you can see, now we have a triangle.